I started out as the Privacy Commissioner of Ontario for 3 terms, a long time, 17 years, because I was just so moved by all the protections that were necessary and lacking, because I wanted a proactive way of addressing privacy harms, ideally preventing them. Privacy by design is a set of 7 principles that essentially ask you to embed privacy protective measures into the design of your operations proactively, meaning right from the beginning, before you do anything, add privacy protective measures. I always tell people privacy is good for business. And then they usually look at me and go, huh? Because that's not what people usually think. People usually think privacy stifles business and stifles innovation. Not true, not true at all. Privacy should be viewed as a business issue, not one just of regulatory compliance, because you will do more to protect the data you have if you think your business is going to benefit from this, and you can gain a competitive advantage, and that's what I want for you. And people say, well, yeah, but it's going to cost me, right? If I do this building privacy and upfront, it's going to cost me. And I say, yes, there will be a small cost associated with it, but it will be a fraction of the cost that you will have to pay when you have a data breach or privacy infraction. And I assure you, you will, because in this day and age of daily cybersecurity attacks, your data are at risk constantly. The cost of a reactive approach to privacy after the fact is dramatic. If you don't embed a little bit of privacy and resources into your operations up front, once you have the data breach, you're going to have lawsuits. But they're not just lawsuits, they're class action lawsuits. These days, they're everywhere, and it will cost you millions upon millions. But the damage to your brand, the damage to your reputation may be irreparable, and you can't escape that. You may have all heard this expression, trust takes years to build, seconds to destroy, and forever to repair. Customers, once they realize you're protecting their very sensitive personal information, they want to reward you with their repeat business, and they tell their friends and their family, and you attract new customers. It does the exact opposite of what people are fearful of, and will also mitigate the possibility of you getting penalties associated with your lack of privacy protection. There's now something called the privacy marketplace, which is all about getting businesses, marketers, advertisers, everyone to realize there's enormous benefits to be gained by embedding privacy directly into your operations and allowing your business to thrive. You want to guard your reputation. You want to ensure that your customers trust what you're doing. And you can do this by assuring them that you respect their privacy. You're going to considerable measures to embed it into your operations so that their personal information isn't at risk from hackers, from third parties unknown with whom the data may be shared without your knowledge or consent. You want to avoid all of that, and you can. There have been a number of public opinion polls in the last 5 years especially that have found concern for privacy at an all-time high. Found that 91% of adults agreed that consumers had lost all control over their personal information and were very devastated about that. 5 years ago, where he found that 90% of Canadians were very concerned about the protection of their privacy or lack thereof. It's a myth to think that people are happy to just fork over their personal information if you give them something in exchange. What customers want, what consumers want, can be summarized in a term called data hygiene, that people actually choose to give their business to companies that have good data hygiene, companies that will strongly protect their privacy. They want to be in control. They want to know what you're doing with their information. And if you're straight with them, they will reward you with their repeat business. And that's where you will gain a competitive advantage by protecting data and using good data hygiene. You can transform ideas like these into best practices that have long-term benefits for both consumers and companies. That's what it's all about. To me, it's all about making this a win-win. The company has to win and consumers have to win. And if you can do both, then you lead your way forward way ahead of the rest. I always like to remind people, privacy is not about secrecy. It's not about having something to hide. Privacy is not about secrecy. It's all about control, personal control on the part of the individual relating to their information. I like to remind governments and businesses, you may have custody and control of someone's information, but it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the data subject, the individual. So let them control their information in terms of who they want to share it to and how they want it used. Another mistaken view is that it's privacy versus security, or privacy versus marketing, that it has to be one or the other, either or, win, lose. That's such nonsense. And so yesterday. Get rid of that zero-sum mindset and substitute and. Privacy and marketing, privacy and security. You can do both. In fact, it's far better when you do both, because then you have a win-win proposition and multiple positive gains. That's what you want, not either or. That makes it a positive for marketing, also positive for your customers. I always tell people, when you integrate data planning into your operations as an upstream design discipline, then you make it seamlessly present in your operations. You build it in upfront. You tell your employees how you want the data respected and protected. And then that mindset of privacy by design flows throughout your entire operation in this upstream design manner. Not surprisingly, they want to know what you're doing with their information. Expect them to go and read the fine print and all the legalese and the terms of service and the privacy policy. No one has time for that. But it doesn't mean they don't care about privacy. They care deeply about privacy, but they want you to be respectful of their time as well. So get rid of the fine print, or at least make a first step before they have to go to the fine print. Have a very transparent disclosure strategy in, plain language that people can easily understand. We used to call these short notices that are short, to the point, give people an idea of what you're going to do with their information. Then if they want more information, they can go to a more refined privacy policy, whatever, but start with something easy, accessible, and transparent. And if you make privacy a positive part of the brand experience, this makes such a difference. This is what leads to privacy as being a positive. And in that context, it is so good for business. I've seen this again and again in all the years I've been doing this. Companies come to me in disbelief sometimes that has led to such positive returns for their business operations. And it can do this for you as well if you lead with it up front, right from the outset. You can do this. There was this wonderful study done by Professor Turow, University of Hampshire, called it the online privacy lie, and that this was unraveling. And the lie he's referring to is that people are comfortable having their personal information used for whatever purposes if they get some kind of discount or service in exchange. And he said, that's not true. 91% of those surveyed disagreed with the fact that, if companies give me a discount, it's a fair exchange to collect my information without me knowing about it. A number of companies, I would say the majority of companies, haven't addressed privacy proactively from the beginning of their operations. So we start now. Whenever I go into a company that I'm consulting with, they're concerned because they haven't done it from the outset, so what are we going to do? You do it from this day forward. And we can do this. So there are a number of measures you can engage in now. It doesn't matter that you haven't done this from the beginning. It's never too late. Start now, move forward proactively, and tell your customers. We've really upped our protection in terms of privacy and data protection. We're very respectful of your privacy. We want to strengthen our operations. And these are the new measures we're putting into place. Your customers will love it. So as I always say, when you do privacy by design, don't keep it to yourself. Shout it from the rooftops. Tell your customers the lengths you're going to now to protect their privacy. I just want to make sure that we can advance your best interests as well as the privacy of your customers. Thank you very much.